Good morning. It's 6:40, 7th August 2025. Man, it feels so weird making these videos when I'm not quite awake yet and can hardly speak. I don't speak well as it is. But when Jesus said, "Give it up and come follow me," he meant it. And I intend to follow those instructions, even though it's really scary. And I intend to follow those instructions to the best of my ability, which for me means kind of like giving into guilty pleasures, like allowing myself to be myself, which always seemed like something that was selfish or like grandulizing, self-promotion and all that, but that's false. That's actually it's ego that does that. Like, ego keeps you from being your true self and showing that part of you that reflects God. Like, I know that it's okay for me to admit that I have skills and talents, and it's okay to admit that, because I'm misspeaking. I don't possess these things. These things are from God only. I'm only like a radio. I'm only a filter. And that's what philosophy points to. It says, it tries to define who we are, where we come from, where we're going, the mechanics of things. And it's all pretty simple, of course. In nature, it's all has the same geometry. It's all like a vortex. Everything's either coming out of or going into a vortex, at the micro and the macro. Man. And back to sorry, these tangents, but back to Jesus's will. It's scary because in field mechanics, like everything in life is kind of like a storm, and in the middle of a storm is emptiness, and it's the source of the storm. The storm is the emptiness in the middle. Everything around it is just an aspect of the nothingness of the middle, which is the principle. Principle is the thing. We always get attributes and principle confused. We see a hurricane, we think it's the wind that's doing all that. It's not. The wind's at the end of the chain of the process that is the storm. And just think, everything in the world had to be exactly the way it is in order for that nothingness in the middle of the storm to be higher order out of the chaos. But yeah, that thing that scares us so bad, and it's weird how it's like the fear and desire are like the same coin, like the flip side. And Jesus wants us to address that fear, because it's just like a storm. Like, the worst winds of the storm are just on the outside of the eye wall of the storm. The most vicious winds are right up next to the peace. And what most human beings do, it's like we exist on the outer bands of the storm. It's like low-level stress and pressure. And we want peace. And we can't get away from the storm. It's like we're on an island or something. And look, no analogy is perfect, so bear with me on this. But it's like most of us run from the storm. We don't try to build shelters. We just get caught up in the outer bands, and if we're not careful, we'll get hit by the whole thing, unprepared, unsheltered, if we don't pay attention. And so it's like, you got to head into the storm and the fire. But you need the armor of God, which is what we're built out of, but we're afraid of it. We're afraid of ourselves, mostly. Anytime you treat other people badly, it's like you're dishonoring yourself, mostly. And I do it. We all do it. I've learned some really bad habits. I confused ego and bad things with good things. I thought it was good. I don't know. Anyway, it's like I'm looking at the sun through the trees because I got here a little late. And I'm standing up and the sun's bright and it's hitting me. It's giving me a little pinch. So I'm going to squint my eyes, squeeze a little bit of love out of the sun before it gets too bright to look at it directly. It's nearing that point. And what is God's will for me? It's to make these videos and keep putting myself out there, the truth out there, we live in a culture where you're not supposed to do that. But there's utility here. We have to know why. We have to ask. We have to become friends with our own desires, our own questions, our own frustrations, because right on the other side of all those difficult discussions and thought patterns is peace. And the peace that we seek is fleeting. It's always moving. And so we have to pay attention and adapt. That's why paying attention is important, because we want to stay with the eye of the storm. We want to stay centered in the peace. And we want to be able to see which way it's moving. If we pay attention, we always know which way the storms generally run. And so, do pay attention to the news. Pay attention to everything. Pay attention to everything that you can. And you don't have to let those negative feelings, just realize they're there for a reason. They're survival mechanisms, but they're not thriving mechanisms. They don't allow us to reach our full potential. And I'm not saying I have. I'm just saying that I'd like to. I don't want to exist on the outer bands of the storm, always wondering when it's going to get worse, low-level stress. It's like Chinese water torture. I don't want that. I'm going straight in. I'll go straight into the fire. Or the winds of the storm, whatever. My dad was that way. I'm that way. Boy, that sun is bright. It's weird how, I don't speak well, but the sun helps. It's been a couple days since I've done any gazing, and not only has the early onset of what I think is probably glaucoma that has returned, the cloudiness in my peripheral vision, and lately in recent years not so peripheral. There's no doubt. The sun gazing is keeping it at bay, the glaucoma, and it's also keeping me on point. And that's quite the statement. And I have to share. I have to. It's important. Much love, because that's all there is anyway. One love, total love. And it's sourced from the immaterial. Peace out. One love. Talk to you later.